Ladies and gentlemen, we all face obstacles. Some of you walked into this room carrying them on your shoulders. Financial struggles, broken relationships, fear of failure, doubt about whether you're enough. And if you don't have an obstacle today, I promise life is preparing one for you tomorrow. That's not pessimism. That's reality. The question isn't whether you'll face challenges. The question is, what are you going to do when you hit the wall? Because here's the truth. The obstacle is never the wall itself. The obstacle is the story you tell yourself about that wall. Think about it. Two people can face the exact same challenge. One says this is impossible. The other says this is my chance to grow. Same situation. Completely different outcome. Why? Because the meaning we give to the obstacle creates the emotion, and that emotion fuels the action or the inaction that follows. So let's break it down. There are 3 keys to overcoming any obstacle. 1, change your state. When you're stuck, the worst thing you can do is sit still in the same emotion. Fear, frustration, despair, these feelings trap you. Shift your state, move your body, change your focus, breathe differently, speak differently. Energy creates momentum. If you can raise your energy, you can raise your perspective. 2, upgrade your story. Most of us are defeated by the story we tell ourselves. I'll never figure this out. I don't have the resources. I've failed before. But leaders, achievers, difference makers, they rewrite the story. They say, this is not the end. This is the beginning. This challenge isn't here to stop me. It's here to strengthen me. The story you choose becomes the script of your life. 3, take decisive, massive action. Nothing changes until you act. You don't need perfect resources. You need resourcefulness. You don't need certainty. You need courage. The obstacle isn't removed by thinking about it. It's removed by doing something, failing forward, adjusting, and trying again. Progress equals happiness. Now let me tell you something you already know deep down. Every obstacle you've faced has already shaped you into someone stronger than before. You've survived things you once thought you couldn't. You're still here. You're still breathing. That means you are undefeated. When most people face obstacles, their first instinct is to focus on the problem itself. They stare at it. They overthink it. They replay it over and over in their heads. And what happens? They feel more overwhelmed, more powerless, more defeated. But here's the truth. You can't solve a problem from the same emotional state that created it. If you're stuck in fear, if you're drowning in frustration, you'll never find a way through. The first step is not to think your way out. It's to shift your state. Your state is the sum of your emotions, your energy, your focus, your physiology in this exact moment. Think about it when you're exhausted, shoulders slumped, breathing shallow, mind spinning with negativity. How resourceful are you? Do you feel creative? Do you feel strong? Of course not. But when you're fired up, when you're standing tall, moving your body, breathing deep, smiling wide, suddenly you feel unstoppable. It's the same person, the same brain, but a completely different result because the state has changed. I've seen this thousands of times with people who thought they had no options left. A business owner buried in debt, a parent who felt like they'd failed their kids, an athlete who thought their career was over. And do you know what transformed their path? Not some magic solution, not luck, not someone swooping in to save them. It was the moment they changed their state. In a matter of minutes, their body shifted, their focus shifted, their energy rose, and suddenly ideas appeared. Confidence returned. Solutions they couldn't see in despair became obvious when they stepped into a powerful state. Why is this so important? Because emotion is what drives action. You can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if you're in a weak, fearful state, you won't execute it. You'll hesitate, procrastinate, or give up. On the other hand, if you're in a peak state, energized, focused, determined, you can have an average strategy and still make it work. State comes first. Strategy comes second. And here's the beautiful part. You have the ability to shift your state in seconds. It doesn't take years of therapy or waiting for the perfect conditions. It starts with your body. Move differently. Stand taller. Breathe deeper. Put on music that fires you up. Jump, clap, shout. Do whatever it takes to ignite that spark in your nervous system. When your body changes, your emotions change. And when your emotions change, your entire world looks different. Let's do a quick test. Imagine right now you're slouched in your chair. staring at the ground, mumbling to yourself about how nothing ever works out. How do you feel? Powerless, small, defeated. Now picture this. You stand up, pull your shoulders back, lift your head high, take 3 deep breaths, and say with absolute certainty, I can handle this. Feel the difference. That's the power of state. The obstacle hasn't changed. The debt is still there. The challenge still exists. The mountain hasn't moved, but you have changed. And when you change, the obstacle no longer has the same weight. You meet it with strength instead of fear. You approach it with curiosity instead of panic. You see possibilities where you once saw only walls. So the next time life throws you something that feels impossible, don't get trapped in the problem. Don't let fear dictate your actions. Instead, pause and ask yourself, what state am I in right now, and how can I shift it? Jump up and down, scream with energy, dance, move, breathe, whatever it takes. You'll be amazed at how quickly your mind unlocks solutions once your body and emotions are aligned with power. Because here's the truth, the quality of your life is the quality of your state. And when you master your state, there is no obstacle you cannot overcome. Every single person in this room is living inside a story. Whether you realize it or not, you've been telling yourself a narrative about who you are, what you're capable of, and what your future looks like. And here's the kicker, that story shapes everything. It's not the events of your life that define you, it's the meaning you attach to those events. The same circumstance can break one person and empower another, not because of the obstacle itself, but because of the story they chose to believe about it. Think about it. How many times in your life have you said something like, I can't do this, I don't have what it takes, I've always failed at that, people like me never succeed. That's a story, and if you tell yourself that story long enough, it becomes your reality, not because it's true, but because you've accepted it as truth. On the other hand, people who rise up in the face of difficulty tell a different story. They say, this challenge is here to grow me. This setback is setting me up for something bigger. I may not know the way yet, but I'll find it. Their story gives them the courage to act. Let me give you an example. 2 people can lose their job on the same day. One says, this is a disaster. I'll never recover. I'm not valuable anymore. They shrink, they stop trying, and their life spirals downward. The other says, this is painful, but maybe it's the push I needed. Maybe this is my chance to finally start that business, to reinvent myself, to step into something greater. Same event, 2 stories, 2 completely different destinies. The event doesn't decide your future. The story you tell yourself about it does. And here's the secret. You always have the power to rewrite your story. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control the meaning you give to it. That meaning becomes your story, and your story becomes your life. If your story is one of weakness, limitation, and fear, you will live small. But if your story is one of courage, resilience, and unstoppable determination, then no obstacle will hold you back for long. I want you to think about your life right now. Where have you been holding on to a disempowering story? Maybe it's about your past. I grew up poor, so I'll always struggle. Maybe it's about failure. I tried once and it didn't work, so why bother again? Maybe it's about your identity. I'm just not smart enough, strong enough, good enough. These are stories, not facts. The moment you recognize that they're just stories and not permanent truths, you take back your power. When you rewrite your story, you change your future. You don't erase the past, you give it a new meaning. The painful moments become lessons. The failures become fuel. The heartbreak becomes proof that you are strong enough to endure and keep going. Every obstacle becomes part of a larger narrative that says, I am a warrior, I am resilient, I am unstoppable. And let's be real, you've already been rewriting stories your entire life. There were times when you thought you couldn't go on, but you did. There were times when you thought it was over, but it wasn't. Somewhere deep inside, you shifted the meaning of your struggle, and that's why you're still standing here today. You've done it before and you can do it again, consciously, deliberately, powerfully. So the next time life throws you a challenge, stop and ask yourself, what story am I telling about this? And is it serving me? If the answer is no, it's time to rewrite it. Don't say this is the end. Say this is the beginning. Don't say I'm broken. Say I'm building. Don't say I've lost everything. Say I've been given a clean slate to create something new. The truth is, your story is the lens through which you see the world. Change the lens and the world itself changes. Rewrite your story and the obstacle transforms from a roadblock into a stepping stone. And when you own your story, when you choose a narrative of power and possibility, you become unstoppable. One of the biggest reasons people get stuck when facing obstacles is that they pour their energy into things they cannot control. They obsess over what other people think, what other people do, or what circumstances look like. They replay worst-case scenarios in their minds about the economy, politics, the market, their boss, their partner, their family. And the more they fixate on what's outside their control, the more powerless they feel. Because if you spend your life focusing on what you can't change, you'll always feel like you're drowning. But here's the shift. Power doesn't come from control over everything. Power comes from directing your focus toward what is within your control. It's not about the storm, it's about the sails you set. It's not about the wind, it's about how you steer your ship. You can't control the waves, but you can control whether you sink or whether you ride them all the way to shore. Let's be honest, life will throw things at you that you didn't ask for, that you don't deserve, and that you can't stop. Loss, betrayal, setbacks, disappointments, they're part of the human experience. But when you meet those moments and say, okay, I may not control the event, but I will control how I respond, suddenly you take back your power. You stop being a victim of life and start becoming the architect of it. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who've overcome incredible odds. They didn't get there because their path was smooth. They got there because they stopped giving their energy to things they couldn't change. They didn't say, why me? They said, what now? That shift in focus is everything. For example, let's say you lose your job. You can't control that decision, the company made it, but you can control what you do next. Do you sit at home complaining? Or do you start sending applications, networking, building new skills, maybe even starting the business you've always dreamed of? Same event, different focus, radically different future. Or take a relationship, maybe someone hurt you deeply. You can't control what they did, you can't control the past, but you can control how much of your present you let them steal. You can control whether you carry resentment like a weight or whether you decide to let go and move forward lighter, stronger, freer. It's like standing in front of two doors every single day. Behind one door is everything you cannot control. Behind the other is everything you can. Which door you focus on will shape your destiny. If you choose the first, you'll live in frustration, blame, and fear. If you choose the second, you'll live in clarity, strength, and progress. Here's the beauty. You always have control over three things: your focus, your attitude, and your actions. No one can take that away from you. Not your boss, not your partner, not the economy, not even the darkest of circumstances. And if you master those three, there is no obstacle that can stop you for long. Your focus determines your feelings. If you focus on everything you lack, you feel powerless. If you focus on everything you can do, you feel empowered. Your attitude shapes the meaning you give to your challenges. You can see them as punishments or as opportunities. And your actions create momentum. When you do something, even something small, suddenly the obstacle doesn't feel so big anymore. The truth is, most people waste years of their lives waiting for the world to change in their favor. But the world doesn't bend to your will. What changes everything is when you decide to own your response, to pour your energy into the things you can influence. That's where your freedom lies. That's where your strength is found. So the next time life knocks you down, ask yourself, am I focusing on what I can't control, or am I channeling everything I've got into what I can? Because the moment you redirect your focus, the obstacle stops being a dead end and starts becoming a doorway. And when you live with that mindset, focusing on your response, your choices, your attitude, suddenly the world becomes less about what happens to you and more about what you create through it. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. That's how you overcome anything. One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves when facing obstacles is, I can't do this because I don't have the resources. How many times have you thought, if only I had more money, if only I had the right connections, if only I had more time, then I could make it happen? That kind of thinking keeps people stuck for years, sometimes for a lifetime. Because the truth is, it's never a lack of resources that holds you back, it's a lack of resourcefulness. Resources are external, they can disappear. Money can be lost, opportunities can dry up, people can walk away. But resourcefulness, that's internal. That's the creativity, the determination, the persistence, the vision, the hunger inside of you. And that can never be taken away. If you cultivate resourcefulness, you'll always find a way, even when the resources aren't there. History is full of examples. Think about the entrepreneurs who started with nothing but an idea and sheer grit. They didn't have money, they didn't have investors, they didn't have a safety net. What they had was resourcefulness, the ability to turn obstacles into stepping stones, to find opportunities where others saw dead ends, to refuse to quit when everyone else would have given up. And because of that, they changed their lives, and in many cases changed the world. When you tell yourself, I can't because I don't have X, you've already lost. You've given away your power to something outside of you. But when you say, I will figure this out no matter what, your brain kicks into a different gear. It starts looking for solutions instead of excuses. It starts noticing doors you didn't see before. It starts pulling on strengths you didn't even realize you had. That's the magic of resourcefulness. Think about Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb on his first try. He failed thousands of times. Most people would have quit after 10 failures, maybe 50. But Edison had resourcefulness. He reframed each failure as feedback. He used creativity, persistence, and curiosity until he cracked the code. Without resourcefulness, he would have been just another man with a dream. With it, he lit up the world. Here's the truth. The most valuable resource you'll ever have is not money, it's not time, it's not even talent. It's the drive to be resourceful. Because when you are resourceful, you turn problems into possibilities. You use imagination instead of limitation. You say, I'll find a way or I'll make a way. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what if I really have nothing? That's where resourcefulness shines the brightest. Some of the most successful people in the world started at rock bottom. They didn't have the resources you think you need. They didn't have certainty. They didn't have guarantees. What they had was an unstoppable will to figure it out. And because they tapped into that inner drive, they created opportunities others couldn't even imagine. Resourcefulness also comes from asking better questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, how can I use this? What can I learn from this? What can I try that I haven't tried yet? Questions direct your focus, and your focus fuels your creativity. And remember this, resources without resourcefulness often get wasted. How many people do you know who have time, money, and opportunities, but they still don't take action? They're paralyzed. They're waiting for certainty. Meanwhile, someone else with nothing but resourcefulness takes the little they have and multiplies it into something extraordinary. So the next time you hit a wall and you start to think, I don't have enough, stop yourself. Replace it with this question, how can I be resourceful right now? Get creative, call someone, learn something new, take a bold action, use what's already in your hands. Because once you unleash your resourcefulness, you'll see that you're never truly out of options. Obstacles don't ask you for resources. They challenge you to dig deeper, to unlock the hidden strength and creativity inside you. And once you discover how resourceful you really are, you'll realize something powerful: you were never limited in the first place. At some point, no matter how much you shift your state, no matter how powerful your story, no matter how resourceful you become, you're going to face the moment of truth. And that moment is this: will I act or will I wait? Because here's the raw reality. Thinking about success doesn't create success. Dreaming about change doesn't create change. Only action does. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, the best ideas, the most brilliant strategies, the deepest insights are worthless. How many people have you met who say, someday I'll start that business, someday I'll get in shape, someday I'll chase my dream? And how many of those people are still waiting for someday? Someday never comes. The only time you have is right now, and the only way you change your life is by acting in this moment. But here's the catch: it's not just any action that creates results. It's massive, decisive action. Most people dip their toe in. They take tiny, hesitant steps, hoping everything will work out perfectly before they really commit. But life doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards boldness. When you go all in, when you act with total conviction, when you make a decision and back it up with massive energy, the universe responds. Doors open. Opportunities appear. People who never noticed you before start paying attention. Think about it. How many times in your life have you done something scary, something uncertain, but you acted anyway? And what happened? Even if it didn't go perfectly, didn't you feel alive? Didn't you grow? Didn't you discover strength you didn't know you had? That's the power of action. It doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes you. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I fail? Let me tell you something. Failure is guaranteed if you don't act. But if you do act, even if you stumble, you learn. You adjust. You course correct. Every step forward gives you feedback. And with enough feedback, With enough persistence, success becomes inevitable. In fact, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the pathway to it. Massive action also creates momentum. And momentum is everything. When you start moving, even imperfectly, it gets easier to keep going. The hardest step is the first one. The step out of fear, out of procrastination, out of excuses. Once you take that step, the second one comes faster, then the third, and before you know it, you're running toward your goal. But if you stand still waiting for certainty, waiting for the perfect plan, you'll never leave the starting line. Here's a powerful truth. Clarity doesn't come before action. Clarity comes from action. People wait to figure it all out before they start. But the only way to figure it out is by doing it. You don't learn to swim by reading a book about swimming. You learn by jumping in the water. Life works the same way. And decisive action matters. Because half decisions, half efforts, half commitments, they don't create change. When you truly decide, when you cut off every other option and say, this is it, I'm going all the way, that's when you unleash your full power. That's when obstacles stop being excuses and start becoming stepping stones. So ask yourself right now, what's one action you've been putting off? What's one thing that if you did it today could move you forward? Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't talk yourself out of it. Do it. And then do the next thing. And the next. Because massive action isn't a one-time event. It's a way of life. The truth is, every extraordinary life is built on a foundation of bold, decisive action. The people you admire didn't get lucky. They acted when others froze. They moved forward when others hesitated. And because they acted, they created momentum. And that momentum created a life most people only dream about. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Stop waiting for certainty. You'll never have it. What you do have is this moment, this breath, this opportunity. Use it. Take massive, decisive action and watch how quickly the obstacles in front of you begin to shrink. Every obstacle in your life has a gift inside it. I know that might sound strange when you're in the middle of pain, loss, or struggle. In those moments, all you can see is what's been taken away, what's gone wrong, how unfair it feels. But if you look deeper, if you shift your perspective, you'll find that every single obstacle carries within it the seed of growth, the seed of transformation, the seed of possibility. Life isn't happening to you. Life is happening for you. That's not just a cute phrase. It's the truth. When you start to see obstacles this way, everything changes. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn? What's the gift here? How can this make me stronger, wiser, better? That shift turns every roadblock into a doorway. Think about the greatest breakthroughs in your life. Didn't most of them come after a struggle? Maybe you lost a job and thought it was the worst thing that could happen, but that loss pushed you to start the business that changed everything. Maybe a relationship ended and you thought your world was collapsing, but that heartbreak forced you to rediscover your own strength, and you came out more powerful and alive than ever. Maybe you faced a health scare that shook you, but it was the wake-up call that pushed you to start truly living. The obstacle was the teacher. The struggle was the path. The truth is, life's toughest moments are not punishments. They are invitations. They invite you to rise higher. They demand that you dig deeper. They call out strength you didn't even know you had. And once you walk through them, once you've been tested and tempered by fire, you emerge as someone new, someone capable of more, someone who can face bigger challenges and chase bigger dreams. Look at the people who inspire you most. Almost every single one of them has a story of turning obstacles into opportunities. Oprah Winfrey didn't have an easy start, poverty, abuse, setbacks, but she turned those obstacles into a platform to help millions of people. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. That could have broken him. Instead, he turned that obstacle into a life of leadership that changed the world. These people didn't escape obstacles. They embraced them, used them, and found the gift within them. Now here's the key. The obstacle doesn't magically transform into an opportunity by itself. It transforms when you change the meaning you give it. If you see an obstacle as a dead end, it will stop you. But if you see it as a stepping stone, it will lift you. The meaning creates the experience. The meaning creates the future. And you don't have to wait years to find the gift. You can decide right now, in the middle of the struggle, to look for it. Ask yourself, How is this situation trying to serve me? What strength is it building in me? What doors is it opening that I wouldn't have seen otherwise? When you ask those questions with real intensity, your brain will start finding answers. Remember this: pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The obstacle may bring pain, but suffering only happens when you believe the lie that the pain is permanent or purposeless. When you choose to see purpose in the pain, when you choose to use it, the suffering disappears and strength takes its place. So from now on, when life throws you something difficult, don't shrink, don't curse it. Stand tall and say, thank you. This is here to grow me. This is here to shape me. This is here to prepare me for the next level of my life. That mindset doesn't just help you overcome obstacles, it transforms them into your greatest advantages. Because in the end, obstacles don't block the path, they are the path. And when you learn to turn every obstacle into an opportunity, nothing in this world can stop you. So the next time life throws you an obstacle, don't shrink, don't hide, stand tall, look it in the face, and say, I am bigger than this, I am stronger than this, I will find a way, because there is always a way. Remember, the obstacle is not the end of the road, it's the beginning of your transformation. Thank you.